I want to reiterate how important it is for businesses that are on a winter tariff. Hi, I'm Eric from Alpha Power Solutions, and today I want to be talking to you about the maintenance of power factor correction equipment so that you optimize the return on your investment. So power factor correction systems are actually, standard power factor correction systems are actually very simple devices. There are hardly any moving parts, and the maintenance really consists of housekeeping, removing dust and contaminants, verifying that there are no hot connections, that the ventilation still works, that the filtration systems for the ventilation are clean. So it's very, very, very basic, but it needs to be done. The enemy of a power factor correction system is really two things. Well, primarily it's contamination from the environment, dust, soot, whatever is coming into the panel, the power factor correction equipment panels. Then there's vibration, power quality issues, voltage surges, but there is really not much that needs to be done on a power factor correction system to make sure that it keeps on working. What you must realize is that the minimum life expectancy of a power factor correction system is 10 years with minimal maintenance. But that minimum maintenance needs to happen. There is no reason why your power factor correction system cannot run for 20 years if you have the right protection systems in place, if it's the right product, if it's the right design. So that basic maintenance needs to happen. The frequency of that maintenance, well, that's more difficult. It's basically environmental conditions that determine the frequency of the services that must happen. Most of it is extremely simple. It's like I mentioned before, it's basically housekeeping and a simple infrared camera to identify hot connections or other electrical problems. So if you don't maintain power factor correction system, you will see that, first of all, the life expectancy of the equipment will reduce. The performance of the power factor correction system might reduce gradually over time, but can also be sudden and can also be caused by repair failures that are extremely cheap to fix. Just an idea, if one of the control fuses, which cost, I don't know, $5 or something, if one of these blows for whatever reason, say for argument's sake, a ventilation fan bearing fails or something, and suddenly there is a massive current that causes the control fuse to blow, that whole power factor correction system will stop working. Now, it will affect the customer. If a power factor correction system doesn't work for a period of 30 minutes while the customer is at peak production, he will lose the savings associated with that piece of equipment for the month, for the billing month where that incident occurred. So it will have significant implications. The services are relatively cheap. It's just some travel and some work on site and then some report writing, but it's relatively cheap when you compare it to the investment that was done initially and the monthly savings that are achieved every month from that power factor correction. It's an absolute no-brainer. So the frequency of the services really depend on the environmental conditions. So the dirtier the environment, and now I'm talking about contaminants in the ambient air. So for example, flour in flour mills, or cement in cement factories, or iron particles in a foundry. All these devices, since the power factor correction systems have usually elaborate ventilation systems to keep everything nice and cool, there's a tremendous amount of air going through this equipment at any given time. So if the air brought in from outside is dirty and is not filtered properly, then that dust or these contaminants end up inside the power factor correction panel and coat everything. And that can have a significant impact on the life expectancy of the components. So to answer your question, well, we have flour mills where we have to do services every month. The environments are really not conducive. The client is unable to improve the dust protection of the equipment. Well, then, the services need to happen more often. Then you have, on the other hand, very, very clean environments. I'm just thinking about pharmaceutical. There, an annual service is more than that. It really depends on the environmental conditions. Yes, so most modern power factor controllers mounted in power factor correction equipment are extremely intelligent, and they have lots of error messages that they can display to help end users identify what the problem is. There's also a possibility to actually have remote communication with the controllers so that the end user and ourselves get a notification of any alarms that pop up. This is done automatically, and the notification is done by SMS and email. And it allows for very rapid response. Because we've noticed, when you install a new power factor correction system, initially there's a lot of attention on the performance of that equipment. But after 2-3 months, that attention wanes off. And the power factor correction equipment just sits there in the background. And whether it works or not, production will carry on. So over time, this type of equipment gets neglected. And it is possible that a fault develops and that nobody's aware of it. And these remote monitoring systems allow us to manage this shortcoming, that you take immediate action the moment there is an error, and you rectify the situation as soon as possible. So while the maintenance of a power factor correction system is quite simple, a lot of companies are unable to manage the servicing of that equipment themselves, even if they have elaborate maintenance systems. And over time, I've figured out that the main reason for that is that power factor correction equipment is not easily understood. Electricians are usually very scared of capacitors, because they're not certain how to make sure that they're safe to touch. Although it's very simple, very simple procedures, but it is potentially lethal if you don't follow the right safety precautions. So a lot of electrical personnel are not comfortable in maintaining that equipment. So we have large businesses that have sophisticated maintenance programs that outsource the PFC servicing to a company like ourselves. They know that it will then be taken care of. Well, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, and the blog is linked in the description below.